Ladies and gentlemen, today is Sunday, June 18th, and welcome to what I guess would be the first episode of Watch News Weekly, because last time we did this, it was a pilot. I want to first and foremost thank everyone for the feedback that we received, mostly positive. Thank you so much for that. We did make one addition to this episode, is that whenever we get on a hot topic, and there were a couple of hot topics last time around, we do have that 2.5 minute limit per topic. They gave us a buzzer in case it's a hot topic. So let's say if you want to continue talking for another minute, like there's something else you must get out, This
is a horrible idea because we're gonna be
I'm
here all day with you.
I'm just gonna put this here. No, that's one extra minute.
Whose idea was this?
One extra minute. Let's get into the first topic. Paris is always a good idea. So MB&F reveals the new LMX Paris edition for the Mad Lab in Paris. Now, what do they call this thing? They call it the LM on steroids or something you said earlier?
Yes, LM1 on steroids.
LM1 on steroids. Don't want to get into the details of the watch. You can watch what's on my desk on one of those. But I will say this. The one thing I love, obviously, is the purple dial. The second thing I love the most is the fact that they're making them in a small
supply.
Wait, let me do that again. The second thing I love about it is the small supply. 15 pieces limited editions. What are your thoughts? Well, first of all, you're wearing an MB&F.
Shout out to Max Buser. I have the MB&F Legacy Machine Perpetual Titanium with the green dial. Actually, my favorite, Max Buser, almost period. The LMX in purple, anything purple that you make on the market seems to do really well. It's a universally beloved color, it's a beautiful color, and it's something that's very, very bold. So it's interesting. Any connection between purple and Paris by any chance? Or is that you know of?
Not that I know of, but I do know that I personally connect purple with rare. Think about other brands out there and the amount of purple watches out there, period.
Oh, very, very little.
But it's not something that could ever get played out, like say, like the blue color or now green color. I feel like this is something, because it's such a bold and loud color, it's something that you can never play out, because I don't think there are companies out there that would ever make that as part of their regular lineup. So if you want something different, if you want something that's smoking hot, and if you can actually get it, retail price 122,000 euros, about $132,000, give or take. If you're one of the lucky people to get that watch, I'm pretty sure that they're probably already all spoken for.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the market price. If it's coming out at $131,000, I mean, I certainly foresee it going over 200 to begin, out the gate.
I'm
just saying north of 200.
But here's the thing: is the problem with these small limited editions is that you often don't get enough of them out in the secondary. Most people that buy them, they tend to keep them. Not very rarely do we see even these guys come out on the secondary.
That's what I'm saying. So the Max Buser client, the VIP, who's obviously going to get allocation for this, I would say most of them will be held personally, and then you're going to see one or two hit the market.
You're going to see one or two. I hope we do, because I like the watch.
It could be an auction play down the line, anyway, the one that hits the market, I think, will be north of 200,000.
I agree. Let's move on to the next topic, and the next topic is Rolex Cruise. Okay, so Geneva-based Explorer's Journey, I guess.
Explorer Journeys.
Explorer Journeys, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
They are putting a first Rolex boutique inside their cruise ships. So my question to you is, what is that going to look like?
Wait, is this a Rolex Cruise or just a cruise with a Rolex
So
boutique?
it's a cruise company that's now putting in a Rolex boutique onto one of their ships, and so subsequently, I would imagine, on other ships. I don't know if they're rolling them all out at the same time, if it's going to go on one cruise ship. But my question is, what does that look like? Do you get on a cruise ship and it says Rolex for display only? Like what is that? Or they're going to guarantee product for that cruise line?
So you really need to read the fine print here before you go on this cruise ship. No wait list at Rolex Boutique. So what does that mean? I could walk in there and get a Rainbow Daytona?
Well, let me ask you a question. This is an expensive cruise line.
Right.
Let's say you and your wife decide to go on this cruise. It's costing you $25,000, but you have an opportunity to buy a Submariner. Would you do it?
I don't even think it has to be an expensive Rolex. They could put a Rolex Boutique on a Carnival cruise and it'll do well. And even a Mickey Mouse cruise, it doesn't matter.
My only concern is this, right? Ships are all about weight distribution and loads, right? So imagine, I really hope they will put that Rolex Boutique smack in the middle of the ship, because if they put it in the corner somewhere and 5,000 people bum rush the boutique, that ship is going to do this. But let me ask you seriously though, would you? It's a $25,000 cruise. You know there's a chance that you can get a good Rolex at list. Do you go?
I guess the better question is where is the cruise docking, porting, where are we going? You know what I mean? Because worst case scenario, it's an expensive vacation that's probably going to be really nice. Best case scenario, it's that, and you get a Rolex at retail that you want. So I would say yes. The answer is a yes.
Potentially, you can pay for your cruise.
I'm not a big cruise guy. Are you a big cruise guy?
No.
I get claustrophobic. Like I want to move. You know, I can't be stuck in one place.
I mean, it's a pretty big ship.
I can't
they have
sit
like
in my
water
office.
slides and.
I'd still like.
Anyway, do you think it's a good idea?
Good idea for the cruise line. I don't think Rolex really cares.
A while back, we were offered a deal where we could put our jewelry onto a bunch of those cruise ships. We kind of turned it down because I didn't want to put staff out there to ride around with our jewelry. But I do know that cruise ships are one of those places, or cruises in general, where people spend money.
Yes,
but they usually spend it on the islands. So I don't know how good or well. If they give it enough merchandise, they'll do well. If not, I guess time will show. Let's move on to the next topic. And that is the new
Mans Daytona.
Daytona. So the 24 Hour of Le Mans just finished. Ferrari won for the first time since 1233 AD. And I'm not a Ferrari fan. I'm a Mercedes guy.
I can't tell by your
right.
Mercedes shirt.
But no, congratulations to Giovinazzi is the guy's last name. I believe I pronounced it. He was at
God bless.
He was at he drove for F2 as well. Still drives for F2 actually. But Antonio Giovinazzi is the guy that won it for Ferrari. Cadillac took second and third place. Imagine that. Cadillac second and third place, which is really good. Scott Dixon, a friend of ours, took fourth. But not about that. About the Daytona. White gold.
Yeah.
First and foremost, the highest priced retail Daytona in white metal, $51,800, which is completely irrelevant. This thing is coming out of the gate at.
You're talking in a white, so white metal off Cadillac.
I'm talking white gold.
Yeah.
It's the most expensive retail-wise white gold Daytona.
I'm trying to think of a yellow or rose gold Daytona. Again, not diamond set. That's more expensive.
No, any plain white gold Daytona out there has been cheaper than 51.8 retail. But out of the gate, this thing is coming out at where?
Over 100 for sure.
Over 100 for sure. Rumor that there's only 100 of them made is bullshit. It's a regular production watch. Rolex doesn't make limited editions. Yes, they may limit the production, but neither I, him, or anybody that tells you they know will know. If anybody tells you they know that they're making X, they're lying to you. Only Rolex knows, and they will never give out that information.
That could be very interesting if they make 100 of them.
They would have announced that. Do you understand the hysteria that was created? There's only 100 of them.
Big times.
But back to the watch, new upgraded movement. They took cues from the old Paul Newman Daytona when it comes to the design of the dial. I love the little red 100.
Awesome.
On the bezel, tachymeter scale? No, it's on the bezel actually. The 100 is on the bezel, on ceramic bezel. Overall, a very, very good looking watch. Again, perfect timing. With the hype kind of slowing down a little bit on Rolex on some of the models, or a lot of the models, if you will, right? Steel is still through the roof, obviously, but perfect timing to bring back the hype to a precious metal Daytona. I'm glad they did it in precious metal, and my hopes are that they'll continue the trend and move that on to then rose gold, yellow gold, gem set, etc.
I almost kind of hope that they keep it in white gold. That they keep it in a lighter metal. I mean, I've always personally liked precious in a precious metal Daytona. I always like the platinum Daytona first and foremost, and I love the silver panda, so to speak, 116509, and the blue. I just think Daytona is such a racing watch. It's such a utility watch that although I do like the bejeweled ones and the flashy ones, there's something to be said that it belongs, especially this release belongs on a white gold Daytona.
Yeah, especially when we're talking about again, Paul Newman pedigree and things of that nature. Definitely the perfect racing watch. Let's move on to the next topic, which is AD Blackmail. Yeah. I don't know why you guys named it that topic, but it's called Authorized Dealers Are Holding Back Papers. Let's start with why are they doing it?
Yeah, so I thought this was a topic that was very, very important to talk about because I've been getting a lot of phone calls from clients talking about this, and this is the first time I ever heard anything.
Well, first
like
explain what this is about.
In other words, if you go to your Patek dealer or your Rolex dealer or your AP dealer, and they literally hold back your warranty card, papers, what have you, right?
For a year, 6 months?
For whatever reason, there's no set time limit as to when they hold it back. But I've seen this more and more often, and I'm trying to think like why. You know what I mean? This is where problems for me come into play. You're shopping for a luxury toy, passion asset for yourself. It is your money. You are purchasing something, and they are now dictating what you can and cannot do with it. I understand they don't want you to resell the watch, but at the same time, it's like you're not really getting what you paid for. You want the full set. You're spending this type of money. How it affects the secondary market, I think it's going to be bad for the secondary market because what you're going to see is you're going to see price levels drop.
Yeah, because if somebody comes to us and says, listen, we have dealers doing it now, where when we're doing business B2B, we'll come in and say, hey, I have this Richard Mille or this Patek or this AP.
It's more with AP than anything.
More with AP, I'm holding the paper for a year.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because
it's not good for the market.
AP has that little QR code, which people then go in, scan, re-register, and AP will know right away that this watch was either flipped or sold right away.
Correct.
After, let's say, a year's time where it's somewhat acceptable, that's when they release the papers.
Even still, we had a situation where there was a watch that was 3 years old. 3 years old, and re-registered somewhere down the line that we sold 6 months ago. Client got a call, got blacklisted. 3 years.
Yeah, it's insanity. Well, look, how does it affect the market? If a dealer calls me today and says, look, I have a XYZ, it's $100,000, and I have an XYZ paper hold for a year, I don't want to pay $100,000. I'm going to want to pay less. And I'm very much afraid of that transaction, because if I'm buying it from another dealer, let's say who's a gray market dealer, I'm reselling it to my client, I tell my client the papers are coming a year later, it's holding it, here's a picture. Well, what happens if that dealer gets hit by a bus? It makes me liable. I almost don't want to buy it, which can have a reverse effect if you think about it.
Last thing we want to do is chase people.
But it can have a reverse effect. If most of the watches out there that have no papers are, you know what? I'm going to hit the buzzer on this one. If most of the, think about it. If most of the dealers out there.
I thought this wouldn't happen, but I guess it did.
Yeah. If most of the dealers out there, let's say a year from now, once the older inventory recycles, new inventory comes out, and most of that inventory is paper hold 6 months, a year, 2 years, I think it can have the opposite effect on pricing, where watches that are released with papers will be more desirable, and the pricing will go up rather than down. Think about it.
Maybe. I mean, it certainly will cause some, I would say, fractures in the secondary market, because at the end of the day, even now, where that's not really like a big thing in the market, even now when it happens, it's very, very hard to put a price on it. Because to me, the price on that watch, because this has happened to me many times when somebody's offered me something like this, I don't know where to put it. As to, if something's worth 10 full set, if it's not full set, is it 20% less? Is it 25% less? Is it 30% less?
Well,
is it 5%
where we know
less?
definitely, we do know the value difference. It's where, the papers are coming. It's very hard to us for value that difference, because it can't be valued as a naked watch or a watch with no papers.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be valued. It's a watch with papers hold, and I think that's going to be a new pricing normality down the line.
Well, the biggest problem, and I think it's the last thing we need to cover, is, okay, well, if I'm not getting the full set now, right? Or the guy that's selling the watch, he's saying, I'll give you the full set eventually. Why am I getting hit with the lower price? And, because I'm going to give you the full set, why don't I get the full price?
I think the only fair way to do this, and I'm sure this is something that we're going to end up implementing, and that is, if I'm selling you that watch for $100,000 and you say you have to hold the papers, and I'm selling it to a client for $110, all I'm going to do is say, look, I'm going to give you $100 now and $10 on delivery on the papers, and pass that same deal on to the client, where the client will hold back $10,000 till the papers arrive.
But again, that's going to be a piece-by-piece basis, so it's not consistent.
Let's move on to our last topic, and that is market update, your favorite. What's selling? What are people trying to unload? What are the prices for the most in-demand models? Let's start with what's selling.
I got to say that there's no changes, I would say, in trends of things selling. Things have pretty much been very consistent. The demand for certain products is always more or less the same. I would say the hardest selling things right now are that we're having trouble with, just we'll be 100% honest, high complication APs. For whatever reason, maybe because there's a shake in consumer confidence because the price levels got so high, so people are still kind of on the sidelines. But I would tell you like this, if you are in the market for something like that, I don't see any reason why not to strike and buy that product right now, because I've seen prices flatline. Do they go south from here? I don't know. Do they go north from here? I don't know. So right now it's kind of a good time to spend money on the thing that you're waiting to come down in price. So
I say today definitely is a buyer's market. Now, what's selling? Rolex still number one, obviously, and everything else is more or less in its own place in terms of popularity. But it being a buyer's market, and you don't have to worry about 12 guys looking over your shoulder, makes it a difficult market for us, right? And here's the thing, is that people within the business, number one questions every dealer asks us every single day, hey, how's business, how are things going? And I'm, again, to be completely transparent, I'm like, look, I'm doing the same numbers. My numbers have not gone down. Some of my margins have gone up because it is a buyer's market, just the same for us as it is for you guys. So we're buying better. But at the same token, what did I tell you yesterday? It's difficult, or it seems difficult. And I realized that it's not that the market is difficult. It's not that it's difficult to sell in this market. It's the fact that the market has gone back to normal. a year and a half ago, a year ago, money was falling from the ceiling because there was such a big demand. We couldn't keep up, right? And now things have gone back to normal, so it seems more difficult to sell. But nevertheless, at least for us, I can speak for our company, numbers have not gone down. In fact, some months they have actually gone up.
It's a lot more difficult for certain people. New entries into the market, it's gotten very, very difficult because they're so used to something, whereas we have experience of things in the past with much larger reach, much bigger exposure. So we're able to navigate through those waters a little bit easier.
To the question of what people are trying to unload, it's a very easy answer. It's the ones that didn't sell at the peak. They're still taking the hype models that were holding in the hopes of them going up, speculating. They didn't unload them in time, and those are the pieces that are now trying to unload to recuperate. One more time. To recuperate.
It's 50%.
To recuperate. That's two out of five is not bad. At least recuperate some profit that they have in certain pieces that they bought with zero intentions of wearing. That simply bought it for the purpose of flipping it and making a profit. Yeah. This is what people are trying to unload. Where are the prices for the most in-demand models now?
So I would say, just to kind of segue from the Daytona conversation we had up until now, I think the most important watch to just cover in general is the Daytona, because a few months ago we saw discontinuations across pretty much the whole entire catalog, from steel models to platinum models and what have you. John Mayer, obviously. When that discontinuation happened, you saw again like a rat race to buy and sell the product. So you had a John Mayer go up 100,000 plus, and that has now since come down about 20 to 25%. Same thing across the Oyster Flex models, same thing across the steel models. I saw Pandas trading in the high 30s, now back down to low to mid 30s. So, and it's been pretty much stable at this point.
I agree. So again, as far as Royal Oaks are concerned, they also have stabilized. Let's take a good one. Royal Oak, Chrono, Panda, stainless steel, where they're trading it right now.
They're still trading in the high 30s, low 40s, pending condition. It's, again, prices have kind of flatlined across. Everything is kind of trading flat at this point. Now there are, like I said, there are some models, Royal Oak Tourbillons or even some offshore tourbillons, stuff like that brought ridiculous prices a few months prior, are now kind of just sitting at a level and people are either waiting on the sidelines or they need to give in some type of trade.
Got you. Well, guys, that's it for this week's edition of Watch News Weekly. I want to thank you once again for tuning in. Comment your thoughts below, any ideas on topics or what else we should discuss. But for the most part, this is a news show, so we're going to discuss a couple of points that may not be actual news, but for the most part, we want to deliver you the latest and the greatest of what's going on in the watch world. This is what we do here. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you next week.